Welcome to Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, folks. We are on the air at KPFT 90.1 FM in Houston and on the internet. I hope you enjoy it all. I'm looking at our link to the network, and I'm seeing that we are a little bit tenuous here. So folks that are listening to us over on the internet, we will take care of that next time coming. How's everybody doing today? I trust all is fine with everybody. I trust all is fine with anybody. What's our subject today? Title of the show today is 2 parts. Medigap Scam. And second topic, Barbados Prime Minister stuns reporter with her answer to corruption in the third world. Folks, that's the title of the show. Give us a call, 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Give us a call, and you don't have to wait till we start or wait some special time to call. You can hear us while you're waiting, listen while you're waiting, because I know a lot of people do that. They're interested in listening to the show, checking out what's going on before they actually come on in and say, you know what? I want to see the show now. 713-526-5738. Extension numero 2. Hit extension 2 when you go ahead and give us a call. I'd love to hear from you right now. You know that commercial that goes on TV? Right now, right here, something like that. Anyhow, welcome aboard. Our engineer today is El Señor Andrew. Andrew, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm all right. How are you doing, Egberto?
I am doing great. We're going to have a great show here. And then, of course, on the phones, we have the wonderful, the beautiful, the voice, Marlo. How are you doing, Marlo? I know Marlo's like, why are you going to have me talking?
I'm doing fine, Egberto. I can't wait for your show. This is so exciting. Yay!
You hear that voice? I told you guys about that voice. Anyhow, don't forget, folks, 713-526-5738, extension number 2. But before I start, I'm going to keep doing this for a while. A big thank you for you guys who brought us over the limit for our last week was the end of our fund drive, and you guys really brought it in. You are the best set of listeners. All we have to ask is that you guys continue listening, continue coming in, continue sharing, and continue going to kpft.org and hitting that button that says, I want to keep them alive, so I'll donate to keep them alive. Anyhow, title of the show, Medigap Scam. Barbados Prime Minister stuns reporter with her answer to corruption in the third world. Senator Elizabeth Warren is exposing insurance companies as they bribe seniors into more expensive Medigap plans. So here we are telling folks, hey guys, you need to go and take standard Medicare because that is what's provided by we the people. But we are also saying you need to get Medigap to cover the portions that Medicare doesn't cover, which is 80-20 up to a certain part. And then we have the private companies coming in and trying to sucker people. We can't have that. Second topic is going to be Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley schooled a misled journalist on third world corruption. Before I get started, since it seems like we already got our first caller, I'm going to go ahead and go to MOD on this, and then I'll immediately... MOD, we're not going to stay too long on this one because I want to get started, but talk to me, my brother.
Happy weekend.
Happy weekend to you too, sir. Talk to me.
Oh, Barbados?
Yes.
My wife is from Trinidad.
Nice.
And,
Trinidad, Tobago.
Yeah, and she went to school with you.
She did?
Yeah, in UT.
Wait, you said she's from Trinidad, Tobago?
Yeah, she went to the UT.
Hey, let me ask you one other question. Let me see if I remember her name. She went to Trinidad. I can't remember right now, but...
No, there was a lot of... You were afloat, and, there was groups, there were cliques, and...
Yeah, but you see, I ran the Caribbean Central American Association.
Yeah. So maybe I'll lead more into that.
Yeah.
With you next call.
All right, talk to me.
But anyway, she shared a doctor from Trinidad wrote chronicled the Atlantic trade route for half a millennia of trade.
Mm-hmm.
And the statistician, this doctor from Trinidad, was showing, like 95% of the slave trade was managed out of Barbados.
Yeah, actually the West Indies.
It was the West Indies. And so it wasn't like coming into the Anglos in the States. It was before central banking. There was the folks from Venice, right?
Right.
That built Europe, grandma of Europe, right? So before there was central banking, the merchants, the bankers of Venice built that Atlantic trade route. And that basically is went for like to the middle of the 1800s when the British and French lost control of the commerce, right?
Right.
Because those mafia Bible Belt, like Napoleon, Louisiana Purchase.
Yeah. Let me tell you,
those are all
MOD, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor because I want to get started with this part of the program. So I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Call back after we get into what the PM had to say, because I think you're going to like what she said and it's going to break right into what you're talking about. Okay?
Yeah. Let's leave with this. Our brother Farrakhan, right? He got in trouble for using that same doctor that taught at Brown and Cambridge and Marlborough and all those. And he passed away, but he was an Orthodox rabbi. But anyway, real quick, just that, how should I say it? Even, our brother Farrakhan was referencing this book.
Okay.
And you might have heard about that too. So we'll talk later.
We'll talk later. Thank you very much, MOD. You have a wonderful day. Let's get into the program. All right, here we go. Medigap Scam. We're going to cover that one first. Many real progressives often speak about removing services and products essential for our well-being from the for-profit domain of the private sector. The pushback from Republicans and neoliberals is always fierce. They accuse those trying to protect the masses as communists and socialists. In other words, it's funny, right? We want to make sure all of your mothers, your fathers, your daughters, all the friends that you have, we want to make sure you have a life worth living. That is the progressive mantra. And for that, they say, oh, you guys are communists, you guys are socialists. But it is ironic, since they are inadvertently equating doing good by society with those terms, since in fact what progressives are doing is making the lives more livable and enjoyable for all, aren't they somehow trying to change the narrative? Anyhow, recently, Senator Elizabeth Warren exposed an insurance industry ploy to scam millions of dollars from seniors. Common Dreams reported as follows. This is what they said. Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren released a report Wednesday highlighting the splashy incentives from luxury vacations to cash bonuses that private insurance companies offer agents and brokers for enrolling seniors in potentially high-cost Medigap plans. Remember what Medigap is, folks. Medigap pays for the when you get standard Medicare, not Medicare Advantage. When you get standard Medicare, the Medicare that we tell folks is the only one you should get if you can afford to get Medigap because of how bad most Medicare Advantage plans are. Now the Medigap has seen the light. They've seen that the Medicare Advantage folks have been ripping you off. Of course, it's the same companies, right? Ripping you off left and right, but in their case, ripping the government off as they give you less services. Now Medigap is getting onto the curb. We want people not to buy just basic 80-20 Medigap, but we want them to buy plans that's going to make us a lot of money. So here we continue. Medigap is a federally regulated supplemental health insurance offered by for-profit companies such as United Healthcare, Humana, and Aetna. According to Warren, the Medigap marketplace is rife with incentive trips and other perks for brokers and agents who, in pursuit of such rewards, could be motivated to push seniors into the most expensive Medigap plans, regardless of whether those plans meet their needs. I'm going to pause there from the article to tell you why they do this as well. Remember, all those insurance companies that I just mentioned, they don't only sell Medigap, which is that 20% insurance for that 20% coverage that Medicare doesn't cover up until a certain limit, but they also sell Medicare Advantage. So they don't care if they make the price of Medigap keep sky rising to give you things you don't need. They don't care. Because eventually you're going to say, well, if Medigap costs me so much, why not drop Medicare and just jump onto Medicare Advantage, which will give me all those things without having to do Medigap? People, I wish Elizabeth Warren had mentioned that in her article, but she didn't. But when I started to see this, I saw exactly where these people were going. The idea is this: Medicare Advantage, the standard Medicare gives you great insurance to any doctor you want. Whatever you want, you can do with Medicare, within limits, of course, with anything. And then the portions that they don't cover up to X amount of dollars, you buy a Medigap policy, which is generally cheap because, again, it's cheap because it's subsidized and you can't, they can't really overcharge you. It's that 20% gap. But the private insurance companies, since they're the ones selling Medigap, they are going to want they don't care to make Medigap cheap, because if they make Medigap expensive enough, you probably will say to hell with Medicare and I'll just go with Medicare Advantage. They win either way. They either win by charging you a bunch for Medigap, or they win by when people leave Medicare and go to Medicare Advantage. It's magical. It's a no-lose situation for these for-profit people. Right? So the senator found that the estimated 32 private companies that entice agents with vacations and other incentives to boost Medigap sales provided the supplemental insurance to around 6.6 million people in the U.S. in 2021 and raked in nearly $16 billion in premiums from beneficiaries that year. Warren acknowledged that her report may underestimate the prevalence of incentives and rewards in the Medigap insurance industry, given that insurance and third-party companies are often not transparent about their incentive practices. In other words, they may not tell you that some of the costs that they're billing for includes giving a vacation to Cabo to an insurance agent who sold 100 policies to 100 senior citizens. There are all these gaps. Let me tell you something. If you're selling insurance, right? You could sell an insurance policy that, let's say, costs, let's say $300 a month to the person who buys it. That's $3,600. And that insurance agent could go home with $3,600 himself or herself, because they know they've got you for several years. And the incentive to keep getting you is high. It's a ripoff. And I'm going to tie this story into the Barbados story in a little bit. But I want you guys to understand exactly what's going on here. And if you have questions, I also want you to call 713-526-5738, extension numero 2, extension 2, because I need our senior citizens, or those approaching senior citizenhood, to actually go into this stuff open eyes. And what else? Let me tell you what else I want to do. Since I'm fully vested into Social Security, Medicare, Medigap, and Medicaid, I am going to be studying. I'm going to be reading, because there's so much crookery going on outside. I want you guys to know you have a place to go that's not going to just give you answers, but gives you places where you can get true answers and not the answers from these people who just want to take your money. So tell people about KPFT. This is one of the kicks that we're going to be on here to keep our listeners aware of those who would abuse them. 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738, extension number 2. In a statement, Warren lamented the weak federal and state regulations that are giving insurance giants free rein to scam millions of seniors in Medigap, offering agents lavish vacations to steer unknowing beneficiaries into more expensive plans. Regulators must act to make sure seniors aren't getting fleeced, said Warren, who noted that around 40% of Medigap enrollees had less than $40,000 in annual income in 2018. The fiduciary responsibility, this is my words now, the fiduciary responsibility of any private corporation is to maximize its profits, shareholder values, and their bonuses. There is only one way to do that. They must extract as much as they can from their customers. That is okay for products and services that are not essential. But if the corporations charge too much, then customers will not purchase until they drop their prices. That is not possible in healthcare. That is not possible in energy. That is not possible where basic needs are concerned. Welcome to Politics Done Right, Maywood, on the internet. So we have to be very careful, folks. Let's go ahead and go to Ray, line number 1. Ray, how are you doing, my dear brother? Talk to me, sir.
Hey, Berto, man, I heard you out there hustling like Rick Ross for the KPFT crew and everybody. Every day I'm hustling.
Well,
welcome back.
I hear you, brother. Thank you so kindly, and thank you for being there, my brother. Talk to me.
Yeah, so basically I just wanted to say from what I've been gathering with the whole Social Security and Medicare thing is that who it mostly affects is people in poor and working class basic economic stance.
Right.
So a person who is rich doesn't have to pay Social Security. If you get so much money, you don't even have to pay into that.
Right.
But the poor people who are reliant on that money oftentimes are so worn down and broken that a lot of people die. And with the Republican Party, this is so cruel. The Republican Party keeps raising the age for these benefits because they basically want poor and working class people to die before they even get a chance to collect.
Let me tell you something. A lot of people would tell you that you're hyperventilating with that statement. Hear this from Egberto Willie, sir. That is the actual thing that they want. And a congressman actually went on the floor and said it. He said, the name of the congressman is, I'm pulling it up right now. The name of the congressman is, anyway, he said the Republican healthcare system is don't get sick. The Republican healthcare plan says, and if you do get sick, the Republican healthcare plan says, die quickly. That's from Alan Grayson. I've interviewed Alan Grayson a couple of times, and that is his.
Yeah, I like Alan.
That is his. So, I mean, let me tell you, Ray, I have the lines are starting to fill up. Is there something else quick that you want to tell me before I jump to the other one, my brother?
Just that the Pledge of Allegiance says we have, what it says, life, liberty, and justice for all. They
Exactly.
That part.
Exactly, sir. And you know what? Let me tell you this. That is what programs like what we're doing, a lot of what we're doing here with our educational channel here at KPFT is the ability to tell folks you are already empowered to do all this stuff. So that's what we're going to do. Okay. So thank you so kindly for being a listener, Ray. Thank you so kindly for also making sure to promote us and tell folks that we exist, and we exist to promote real, truthful information and make sure that people realize they're empowered. Okay.
All right. Godspeed, Berto.
Thank you, my brother. Let's go to Larry. Larry, come on in. How are you doing today, Larry?
Doing fine, sir. Yourself?
All right. Talk to me.
Real quick comment. I turned 65 last year. Started doing research thanks to hearing about Medicare Advantage on Tom Hartman.
Yes, sir.
And I'm still learning, but just one of the things that you said, playing on that, even if your eyes are wide open, even if you get all of the information that you are trying to help your listeners get, you still sign up for Medigap and find out that the first 5 years, the cost of it's pretty good, and then it goes up after that every year. So when you get older and you're going to need the coverage the most, they are making it harder and harder for you to afford it and pushing people into the Advantage plans.
Let me tell you something, Larry. You're absolutely right. And remember, I don't know if you heard what I said earlier, sir, where I said the reason they want to keep Medigap going up in prices is because if Medigap keeps going up, immediately that will transfer you to that controlled, where they control your life, which is called Medicare Advantage. They tell you what medicines you can take, what hospitals you can go to, and whether they are willing to pay for what ails you. So you're so right. It's a method of even even after taking Medicare, they are working on Medigap and keeping those prices high so that eventually people just cave in to getting substandard care with Medicare Advantage.
People on fixed incomes will have no choice, and it's sad.
But wait, Larry. That's why we are here, Larry. What you just said was what they want you to believe. You just said it. The idea is that people will eventually have no choice. If you listen to the essay that I wrote, I said in the last line of the essay, I said, okay, for products and services that are essential, if corporations charge too much, people can decide to have it or not. But if a product is essential, we can't have it in the private sector because they will do exactly what they're doing. Okay? So,
I agreed 100%. And all you need to do is read the true history of our Western allopathic medical system and who founded it and how it came into be.
Yes.
John D. Rockefeller was the father of it. And most people have no clue.
Yes. But let me tell you now, I want to get one phrase out of your psyche right now, my brother, and that is, they are going to have it that we all just have to go into Medicare Advantage. That is only true under one condition: if we sit down and take it. And my contention is geometric progression says the following. If you and I talk and you and I come to a conclusion that what's best for our society, and you speak to 5 people and you encourage those 5 people to speak to another 5, and those 5 encourages to another 5, we reach the total population of the United States in less than 20 iterations of that going on, or less than, actually I think it's something like 8 iterations of that going on. So here's what I'm saying, Larry. We have to stop allowing them to have us feel impotent as this is all we can do. And we have to start doing. And that's the goal of this show. We are going to do. In 5 years, when your rate starts going up, I want to have the beginnings of Medicare for all, or healthcare for all, or whatever you want to call it, sir. And that's my goal. That's our goal.
Well, I agree. We're fighting a tough battle. We've got the lobbies for the pharmaceutical and the insurance industries giving so much money to our politicians,
right.
And there's enough blame to go around that it's not just a Republican problem.
Exactly.
It's an elected representative problem, and that's who we need to be screaming and hollering at. And until we can put party politics aside and vote the SOBs out, nothing's going to change.
Larry, I love folks that speak like you. You're absolutely right. So let's do it. Let's not just talk about it. Let's do it. Let's engage ourselves. So let's not just listen to politics done right, feel that we are vindicated and, okay, not do anything else. Everybody that's listening to our voices right now, every single person that listening to our voices right now has agency in this country. They try to make you believe by keeping us as individuals that we can't. They try to prevent the collective from coming together. What we have here in this virtual space at KPFT, here on this radio, is we're creating a virtual space that can have action. So let's just think that way, Larry. Anything else before we go, my dear brother?
Just thank you for spreading the word about Medicare Advantage. It's a scam. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, sir. You have a wonderful rest of your day, okay? Keep listening. Don't forget to share. Have a great day. All right, folks, please remember, give us a call, 713-526. Curtis, I'm coming to you in a minute. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Hit extension number 2. To keep this subject going. And, again, like, this is your show. You have questions, statements, whatever. Call us, 713-526-5738, extension 2. Let others know that we have people that are engaged on the subject. Welcome to Politics Done Right. Tom C. on the internet, E2247 on the internet, Alistair Waters on the internet, May Wood on the internet. Thank you so kindly for listening. Yes, we're having some buffering issues. I'm going to have to check the internet here at KPFT some other time, but it's buffering a lot. Listen at kpft.org as well. You won't have the video, but at least you can do the other things. Curtis, how are you doing, my friend?
Hi, Egberto. Look, I'm trying to understand this from what you've been saying. Whenever somebody comes on television and buys an ad and asks me to send them money, I'm pretty skeptical.
Yes.
And so I know it's right to be skeptical of this Medigap programs. And they're selling dental and eye stuff along with it, which a lot of people need and Medicare doesn't cover.
Right.
And so that entices them to get involved. And they'll find out later about how good that coverage is. But what I'm trying to figure out is there is a gap. There is that 80-20. Medicare pays 80 and you get 20.
Yes.
For most everything.
Yes.
I think office visits are probably covered 100%, but I'm not sure. But that 20% needs to be paid, and you need to really have insurance to cover it. Do you have options other than these people? Do you have options to get that 20% covered somewhere else? Let me
tell you what I tell folks, okay? You can't take blood out of water. You can't take if I were doing this, I'm just going to tell you my thing. I would go ahead, and if I can't afford the Medigap, I would not use that as an excuse to go to Medicare Advantage, because you know what doctors are right now? Smart. And what they'll do is they will understand for people's situations, they would be very happy with their 80%. The hospitals, they can't get blood out of water. There are a lot of techniques that you can use. hcfat.org gives you techniques. But if you can't afford something, you can't afford something. And you shouldn't be forced to go into something that's going to control your life like Medigap. So here's what I'm telling people. If you can afford Medigap, get Medigap. If you are so sick that you have to go into Medicare Advantage because you don't have the time to negotiate stuff in our lousy healthcare system, then do it. But here's what I think for most people, for the vast majority of people, I think they can stay their butts in Medicare, get a Medigap policy if they can. You know, the thing about it is 80% is better than 100. 80% is better than zero. And don't think hospitals don't see that. And let me tell you why they wouldn't mind. When you have Medicare Advantage in the game, don't you think the insurance companies are making more than that 20% and making deals with hospitals to pay them a fraction of the cost that they would get, and getting it directly from Medicare is a better deal for them? I'm telling you, it's all a scam. Even the Medigap thing is a scam. So therefore, I'm telling folks, if you can afford Medigap, buy the Medigap at the best price. In fact, I don't know that I'd even go for dental and all of that, because if you have cataracts, it's not covered under eye coverage. That's a medical problem. A cataract is a medical problem. Right. But your eyes, but your eyes having to wear glasses, guess what? I can go prescribe myself glasses by buying the right thing at a Walmart, right? For dental, guess what I bought? I went ahead and bought a vibrating thing to take the plaque off of my teeth so that I don't have to go pay those exorbitant fees at a dental office. Or you go to UT, we're in a big city. You can go to the UT Health Center and get your teeth cleaned and fixed for a very low cost. Additionally, when it comes to hearing, well, most of us don't really have the hearing issues. So, it's not a big problem. So they fool you into thinking you have to buy all this stuff when just a little bit of self-care can handle it all on your own, right? So what my thing, Curtis, is the following. We have a lot of work to do to try to mitigate the issues with Medicare, with the Medigap problem. But I want folks to not just jump into buying a Medicare plan. As Brother Larry said earlier, they're going to force us into buying Medicare Advantage. No, they won't. They only will if we fall for it. And that's what I'm saying. And you're
Egberto,
yes.
What is Medicare Advantage?
All right, let me explain that part. Medicare Advantage. Okay, there are two kinds of Medicare here, right? There's Medicare that's paid for by the government entirely. Here's how it goes. If you just
we've been paying into
that 3-point-something% that you pay on your salary goes into Medicare. Now, let me tell you what happens though. Medicare decided that, or rather the private sector wants that that's trillions of dollars there, okay? And they want that money. So let me first explain Medicare, just Medicare. Medicare is the government paid insurance program that every American citizen over 65 gets. As being an American citizen, you qualify for Medicare. And what Medicare gives is it pays 80% of all of your medical bills. Just consider it that. Minus, it doesn't cover dental, hearings, or eyes, but it does cover if you have cataracts. Medical things, it covers 80%, period. No questions asked. Now, if you are wealthy, you don't even need Medigap because whatever, up until the cap, you just pay your 20% of your bill.
Right.
Most people can afford.
Right.
Most people can afford that. Okay. Now, these private company. By the way, now guys like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren want to also include dental, hearing, and eyes in standard Medicare. But our Congress says, no, it's too expensive. It's a lie, but
Egberto, focus, Egberto.
Right. Okay.
We're talking about what Medicare Advantage is.
Okay, the reason I get you. I'm going to help you, Curtis. I'm sorry for going around in circles a little bit, but we have a audience.
Little bit.
Yeah. Okay. A lot. Okay. Good. So Medicare Advantage pays 80%. Medicare Advantage now is a private insurance policy alone. It's only private insurance. Even though it has the name Medicare Advantage, it is a private insurance policy like any other private insurance policies you can purchase. The difference is...
Does it replace Medicare?
Yeah, let me. You said you wanted me to tell you, and now you interrupted me. Okay,
I'm sorry.
All right.
Go ahead.
Now, here we go, my brother. Here we go. Medicare Advantage is a standard insurance policy like any private insurance policy. The only difference is Uncle Sam pays the premium directly to the private insurance companies as opposed to you paying the premium out of pocket to that insurance company. That's the only difference. Okay, now let's continue though. But that opens the gates for thievery. Because what occurs with Medicare Advantage is these guys separate people into their level of health risk to the government. Not to you. You don't see any of that. The government, they go ahead and they pick all the people that join their health insurance company, and then they bill the government based on how sick you are. So what they normally do, Medicare Advantage, why they can pay those exorbitant fees to the agents, etc., is they tell the government you are sicker than you really are to get more money from the government, and then they give you less services than you require because they want to make more money as well. But the reason they can do it, it is all privately controlled. The reason I was going around in circles is I wanted to let you know that the difference is they tell you when that private insurance company called Medicare Advantage, they tell you what doctor you can see, they tell you what medicines you can take, and they tell you if they will cover your testicular cancer or your prostate cancer or anything else. Now, as far as Medicare is concerned, standard Medicare, not Medicare Advantage, standard Medicare is concerned, you go to any doctor you think can solve you and can make you healthy. And you go to that doctor, you have choices. It's amazing that the people who support Medicare Advantage are the ones who like to say they support choices. No. The government, the Medicare program gives you choices because you decide what doctor you want to see. You decide, your doctor decide what medicine you're going to get. So, first of all, let me back up. Did I answer your question appropriately, sir?
Yes, you did. You really informed me, and I appreciate it.
The reason I asked that is because you earlier said I was going around the bush, but there was a reason I was going around the bush. All right, brother? There was a reason.
You always you head off for a destination, and then you veer off at 85 degrees.
Well, I get it. I know when you want an answer, you want the definite answer. But, also for the people listening, I'm not perfect. I can't do it perfectly, and sometimes I go off.
I'm not asking you to be perfect, Egberto.
Yeah.
You do a good job.
Okay. But, I'm trying. Now, let me tell you now, Curtis. So I want to go back to standard Medicare for those that are listening, because that's the reason I wanted to stick on that as well. I explain what Medicare Advantage is. Medicare Advantage, after the government pays the insurance companies for Medicare Advantage, might as well they didn't and just had one Medicare because it will cost less even if they gave you eye, ears, And what's the other one again? Eyes, ears, and dental coverage. Right. Even if they gave you that, it would cost them less than they are currently paying to the insurance companies for you. It's a scam. It is a scam. So I hope those that are listening understand what I'm saying. And if you don't, I want you to look, I want this to be understood well so that when we are in the streets fighting for the rights of people to have health care, that folks don't sit back and say, what's wrong with those radicals? I enjoy what I have. We want people to understand what's going on. Was I clear enough, sir?
Yes, thank you very much, Egberto.
You have a wonderful day, Curtis.
You too.
All right, folks, I hope that was covered appropriately because Curtis is right. Sometimes, when you're explaining things that have these many facets, you don't explain it in the manner that one particular person wants it. So I hope it was clear to everybody. If it was not clear, call 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738, extension numero dos, extension number 2. All right, the second topic for today, what time is it? 35? I still have time for it. The second topic for today, and I'm going to show you how I can tie this in. It's a topic you're going to think doesn't cover what we just spoke about, but I'm going to show you how it's easily tied in with the Prime Minister of Barbados and what she had to say, but it is important for us to hear this and see this as well. Here it goes. Barbados PM stuns reporter with her answer to corruption in the third world. Our Western reporters buy into the tale that third world nations are in the state that they are in because of a type of corruption inherent to them. The reality is that the corruption in third world states cannot possibly match that in the rich nations. The only difference is that corruption in the West is codified as legal. In other words, it is written, our corruption is actually written into law. The elephant in the room, what a lot of Western climate diplomats tell me is that leaders like yourself also carry a responsibility. Journalist Erika Bergstrom asked the Prime Minister, why are vulnerable countries still in debt stricken? Why is there still corruption? What is your response to that? The Prime Minister asked the reporter if she really wanted the answer. When a Caribbean woman asks you, if you really want the answer, you should prepare yourself as it means a strong response that will shock you is coming. It's so important. Sweden's SVT reporter Erika Bergstrom should have done her homework, challenging Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley. Okay. Prime Minister Mottley replied, why is it that every time we talk about countries from the South, the first allegation is corruption? Last time I checked, in the USA and the UK and Europe, they are riddled with corruption, but nobody says that they are not capable of achieving their objectives because of corruption. Why is it that we are not talking about the fact that these countries became independent, having allowed other countries that colonized them to extract significant portions of their wealth, such that we had no proper housing, no proper education, no proper healthcare systems, no proper legal systems, no proper across the whole stream, and certainly having to do with building social capital like community development and cultural enterprises. And what has happened is, therefore, what we have spent the time since independence trying to give our people what the global north has taken for granted and has supported by the extrication of centuries of wealth to give their people out of our blood, sweat, and tears. Now, when our blood, sweat, and tears finances the Industrial Revolution, and the Industrial Revolution then causes a climate crisis, and then I have to pay for the consequences then I think it's an issue. Then I think that they have no moral authority to tell me anything about the financing of the climate or about what have done. In other words, she's saying, you built your riches on extricating, taking our raw resources, and then you burn it, put it into the air that caused climate change. And when we start flooding from the climate change your industrial revolution created, you're asking us, why are you so mad? Why are you creating that? So it is anger over this, the reporter asked her. Really? Really? Are you really asking if the prime minister is angry? I tell you what, I'm going to continue and tie the rest of this into what we do over here. But I hope you understood the questioning that that person did with the prime minister and the response that she gave. If you don't, we'll continue to contemplate that. But let's go ahead and bring in PJ. Go ahead, PJ.
Yes, go ahead. This is PJ. Hey, listen, Berto, I wanted to address what you were saying earlier about Medicare and Medicare Advantage.
Yes, sir.
And I found out something that the doctor does not, some of the doctors that I used to have do not accept Medicare. So this is a choice.
Right.
And I found out that, okay, if I got the Advantage plan, yes, it has to cost a few bucks more. I had a bigger selection of doctors to go to see. Not everyone accepts the Advantage plan I'm on, but I found the correct ones. But there are doctors out there that do not accept Medicare. And I ran into this back in 1995 when I had work done on my wrists. And after they completed it, the following year, they advised me to no longer take Medicare.
PJ, I want to interrupt you for one reason, because I want to talk to you about what extortion looks like, okay? The government makes laws, right? Our government makes laws. And the private sector also provides services, right? Now, when the private sector wants to extort... All right. When the private sector wants... What's that noise? You must be in your car?
Yeah, I parked
that's fine.
But I had my window down.
Okay, great. I appreciate that. But let me give it the answer, though. This is important, because I want everybody to listen to this, because this is where everybody listening has to take command. Here is how the transition occurs. I want everybody to listen. Since the government is not going to get rid of Medicare, standard Medicare, what the private sector wants to do is make standard Medicare painful for people so that they can extort them into going to Medicare Advantage. And I gave one of the ways they do that by increasing the price or trying to force people into buying very expensive Medigap plans, which covers a 20%, Medicare doesn't. They try to get them so expensive that the people just say, I'm going to just go to Medicare Advantage. The other thing to do is to coerce doctors into saying, we are not taking standard Medicare, but we will take the Medicare Advantage, because Medicare Advantage is a private sector insurance plan. So Cigna's Medicare Advantage or United Healthcare Medicare Advantage, because they've taken a whole bunch of doctors, put them under contract, and then those doctors now say, well, we are not going to take Medicare because some wink in the contract says, only take Medicare Advantage people. That's how they force people into saying, well, my doctor doesn't take Medicare, but he takes Medicare Advantage, and thus I get rid of my rights and go to standard Medicare. There's a solution. The solution is temporary pain for a better result. Let me give an example. We need to force our government, the people who work for us, our elected official, to say everybody has to take Medicare. Medicare is a government insurance, and you must take Medicare. Punto y final. In other words, if we don't go out, in other words, right now, the private sector is acting like a government. The private sector is acting like we the people. The private sector is saying, we are telling you, you have to take Medicare Advantage if you want health care. We are allowing private companies to tell Americans that you must go with us. When we have the power to tell our representative to tell doctors, if you want to be in our healthcare field, you must take Medicare. Punto y final. Point final. Yes, so what I'm saying to all of the seniors listening to me, you are voters. That's the one thing with seniors, they vote. More so than well, millennials are starting to vote. Gen Xers are starting to vote in higher quantities now. We have to get intelligent. We have to get smart and not allow the extortion by the private companies to occur. Do you follow, PJ?
Okay. Yes, I do. But we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. What happens if we go back and we can't get someone to take us on Medicare? So for right now, until we can get this situation resolved where the government can do more than listen to us rather than the big people, the hospitals, etc., the doctors. I mean, we have to have.
Let me tell you the solution. No, you're absolutely right, sir.
We have to have something.
You have to look out. You have to look out for you, sir. You have to, PJ. You have to look out for you, the individual. I get it. But let me tell you what's a responsible thing for all of us to do as a society. That is, if you must have a particular doctor or whatever, that if that's the only person or the only folk that can solve that problem for you, right? Then who am I to tell you not to? I am nobody. I can't tell you not to do it. But what
I think the secret to the whole thing and what you're trying to explain is we need to get off our butts.
Yes.
Get out there and get with our representatives, senators, etc. And have them work on this. Meanwhile, we have to suffer.
But what I'm saying, though, is an addition. We have to be willing to vote these charlatanes out. Those folks that every time we elect them, they go in there and they don't get things up. It is time to vote them out. But there has to be enough of us saying this, PJ. And you have to be saying it, too. Yeah. You have to be out there speaking the word, sharing the word, telling everybody about it. It happens. If we get 3% of the people engaged in this fight, we win. 3%. Okay? So what I'm saying is the following. Those of you who can change a doctor, remember, no doctor is God. Your doctor could get hit by a truck tomorrow and you would have to change, right? Your doctor could be hit by a truck tomorrow and you would have to change doctors. So some people who feel wedded to a doctor need not. I see a doctor, let's say 2 times a year. Should I make my financial life be subjugated to something that I access 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times a year? No. So what I'm saying to those who can, I know all 100% won't be able to, but those who can, why not change? If your doctor says, I don't take Medicare, go to one who does. There are a lot of good doctors who do and a lot of bad doctors who don't. So I'm saying it is time for us not to allow ourselves the extortion from the private sector, from the corporations. We are at some time are going to have to say, just like they take pains to invest in screwing us, we have to take pain in investing in unscrewing ourselves. And that's what I hope to accomplish with what we're doing here, PJ. And I'm glad that you brought that subject up about some doctors not taking Medicare, because you allow others to hear, well, what can we do? Anything else you want to go, PJ, before I finish my essay?
No, that was it. We addressed it, just that everybody needs to get off their butts and be good at what they say, educated consumers. And that's part of the consuming that we do, in be it food or doctors, and so we all need to get off our tails and do this.
Thank you. That is exactly right, PJ. And let's encourage others to do it. And this is not something that happens. You talk about it once. And that's why, if you notice, this week I've done Medicare, Medigap, and Social Security several times. And the reason why is I see that it's a hole that's missing in our news coverage, etc. So I try to tie it into even, I like some other very political stuff, right? But I saw a need for this. And I said, I'm going to try to tie this into a lot of what I speak about. And it's amazing how healthcare ties into everything, PJ.
Yes, it does. And I thank you for your show and picking these subjects up. And
I thank you for helping this show able to tell the story more so to others, because it's by you informing that gives us more impetus to do it, sir. Thank you so kindly.
You're very welcome. You take care. Ciao.
All right, folks. As I was talking about the issue with Barbados, a reporter. I'm just going to summarize here. A reporter out of Sweden Western country comes and says, why are you third world countries in so much debt? Why are you third world countries have so much corruption? And in effect, the Barbados Prime Minister said, wait a minute, you guys have a lot of corruption, more so than we do. You have more money to have more corruption. And you just heard the conversation that I had with PJ, the conversation that I had with Larry, the conversation that I had with, I forgot the name of the other person that called in. All of what we spoke about with regards to Medicare, Medigap, and Medicare Advantage was nothing more than Curtis. Thank you very much. Thank Curtis was the other person. All those conversations were a perfect description of American corruption. Okay? It was a corrupting private sector that is taking more than 50% of our medical dollars for legalized fraud. So the difference between the fraud in the third world and our fraud is that we found a way to codify our fraud. In other words, make our fraud legal. So we rip off the middle class by making it legal to do so. So here's my continuation of that. The prime minister, the reporter then, after the prime minister told her all of that, you took our resources, you created all the change in climate in the air, and now you talk about, you loan us money to clean up a lot of mess that you created, and now you want us to be feeling bad about having corruption of our own when you have massive more corruption. Now, what was the response from the reporter? The reporter said, are you angry? Absolutely not. Unfairness, lack of justice. She said, I'm not angry. I'm not angry at all. But the unfairness, lack of justice, we're not angry. I'm just disappointed that humankind wants to believe that there's one world for a set of people and another world for another set. That's the prime minister's response. And then I said, my part now. She did not miss a beat. There is so much to unpack. Bernie Sanders said it during the 2016 Democratic presidential election. He said, the business model of Wall Street is fraud, and Wall Street dictates the economic model of the Western world. If you have any doubt, just look beneath the facade. Look at our healthcare system, which is what we just discussed, our energy sector, and many other areas where what we have is legalized thievery. A suit and tie on someone stealing do not make them any less a thug than the common convenience store thief, just a better dressed one. We discussed enslaving our minds during our last show. You guys remember that? Where I wrote an article and I actually did a clip of it. Enslaving our mind, unleashing the chains from our minds. That's what we talk about on the last show. That is what it will take to get out of the indoctrination, the system programmed into our minds. You know, we've learned all along that somehow these wealthy people are deserving of their wealth. If you go into the ghettos, the barrios and Appalachia, these people are standing up at bus stations, going to work every day. They're paying money to go to work. They're doing everything to make society run, but just a few monopolize on what they produce, what they make. And somehow we feel like they are worthy and we are not. Are you kidding me? All these people make those. Bezos is only wealthy because Bezos is making a piece of the action of every single one of you guys producing something. And then you glorify him for saying, oh, he's so wealthy. He's given so much money away. He's giving your money away. It's not a democracy. He's saying, I take your money and I decide who is then worthy of it. Why don't he pay you that in the salaries that you've done instead of accumulating all that money? So it is for that reason that the likes of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, Republican politicians, and neoliberals alike want to prevent critical learning. When we unchain our minds, we will see much clearer and become better people, not only for us, but for the rest of the world as we atone for much. End of the essay. Folks, look, every time I listen to stories like PJ and Curtis and Larry, etc., I sit down and say, you know, as being an activist isn't very, what's the word that I want to use? It's not the easiest thing. It's definitely not financially wise. but it's fine. But it is societally necessary. Because if we keep, I have a daughter, you probably have kids. If we just let things fly, our economic system is on an autopilot of fraudulence. It's on autopilot. And if we don't change the direction by some of us stepping up to the plate and saying, we are going to make sure and change the direction, it never changes. You know, they've created all these different structures to keep us fighting each other, from racism to classism to sexism to homophobia to all these other things. They've created this. This isn't, people say, oh, that's human nature. All of this ain't human nature. A lot of this is impacted onto us, and then we put it out there. Until we learn that this is just manipulation, so that the few can continue to control the many, so that the few can continue to use the many as nothing more than antiseptic slaves. We all are. And guess what? It's not looking like me anymore that makes you a slave. It's just being here that makes you a slave now. They've just found a better way to do it, a way that's more palatable. We no longer have to see the marks of the whip, the slices on the back, the blood. We don't have to see that anymore because we've learned how to do it. We've taken your mind. We've taken your brain. That's all we need. Folks, we can make a difference, and there are more of us than there are of them. And we still have one vote. We still have one vote, each of us. They don't want critical thinking because it means we get together as a collective and decide what's best for us all. Please listen. This is not, I'm a progressive, yes, but this is not progressive liberal or all this kind of stuff. This is human. This is American. And that is where we have to start moving ourselves. Start thinking of somebody as being different than you are. Start thinking of somebody as being your partner, your friend, your brother, your sister. If you notice, I use that word a lot. I called everybody my brother. I call everybody my sister. You know why? I can't harm my brother or my sister. So if everybody is my brother and my sister, guess what? I love everybody. That's not how the politicians think. That's not how the corporatocracy think. It's not a part of their charter. It is not. So folks, let's remember what's best for us all. Let's remember what's best for us all. We need to stand up for each other. I've got one more minute to finish and then I'll be done. Let's stand up for each other. Let's remember the reality of who we are. And we can make a difference. Anyhow, folks, thank you so kindly for listening to Politics Done Right. We'll be back here on Monday with a new subject, and we probably will be still covering Social Security, Medicare, Medigap, and all that stuff whenever you want to. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.